What the hell did I just witness? I recently finished The Last of Us Part 2 last night, and the ending is, oh my god. Now if you aren't aware, this game was spoiled before it came out, giving you information on the story and what happened, and if you read the spoilers, then unfortunately it's true, and when you play the game, it doesn't get any better, only worse. I'm not going to talk about the story, I'm going to talk about that later, along with the politics and all that other crap that Naughty Dog trying to pull. First I'm going to talk about the gameplay. Now the gameplay is the same as The Last of Us, the first one. There's nothing new. I mean, you scavenge around collecting all the tools to make new items. The crafting is still the same, but you can make more stuff. Not a lot, but just one or two things. The bench does make a return, and I like it how you actually do get to see the weapon being upgraded rather than just being an upgrade. This game does take elements from Uncharted 4, like Ellie has a journal where she can jot things down and you can observe certain objects. It's not as sophisticated as Uncharted 4, but I did feel like I was playing that game more than I was The Last of Us. It's kind of like a hybrid between the two. So yeah, the gameplay is pretty much the same. You do get to play guitar though. You use a touchpad to press the strings into whatever notes it is. You can take the game seriously and play the guitar proper, or just mess about at your own leisure. In The Last of Us, you were able to kill fireflies and any other survivors that are trying to kill you. So in this game, they implemented a dog who can track you throughout the area using their nose to smell you out, making it harder for you to be quiet and stealthy. So the best thing to do is kill the dog owner and then kill the dog, in which I didn't mind because these dogs were annoying. And again, a lot of people would be hesitant to kill a dog, but I don't know why. It's either you kill the dog or the dog kills you. Also, is it me or is Abby's gameplay much more superior over Ellie's? Like, she got better weapons, more abilities to unlock, and to unlock more abilities you need to find manuals. I found all of them for Abby and I think I found 2 for Ellie, and if there's 5 categories for both characters, then well, Abby's gameplay was still more satisfying to play as, and she has better combat. So if you enjoyed the combat from The Last of Us playing as Joel, basically all of his assets is moved onto Abby's. The only thing Ellie has over Abby is her puny knife that can stealth kill a clicker without crafting any shivs, which you can do when you play as Abby. This game has 3 new infected, the Stalker, which are annoying little bastards because when you're trying to stealth through certain sections, they always spot you, and in that section there might be clickers or a new infected, making it challenging, and you pretty much have to waste all your ammunition in trying to clear out the room, or just find a quick exit, or just die and try again to find a quick exit, stuff like that. So that's the Stalkers, annoying little shits. The next new one is Shamblers, I think that's what they're called. Now these are basically bloaters not replacements, but pretty much they're scattered around a lot more than bloaters are. Honestly, in this game you probably encountered bloater twice in the story, one with the flashback with Joel and another with Abby I think, but it doesn't matter. Basically the Shambler infected, or what's so special about it, is that it can spew out acid gas and melt your skin, that's about it. They're not that fast as the infected or the clickers, but they can deal damage over time and they take a lot more bullets to kill. You can't stealth kill them. Luckily they are blind, so you can easily just crouch slowly between them. And the last one is a boss, the Rat King. Now this boss fight was cool because the location that you're in when you fight this boss battle is ground zero. Basically when this infection happened in hospital, where they took in patient that they didn't know what was happening. And this boss fight is, I think, is a culmination of all the infected, or what I think it is. And this boss fight was challenging. It's a one hit kill like the bloater, so you really need to get your distance and unleash all your ammo into it. This boss fight has 3 phases, one by itself, which keep your distance. Another is when it's a bloater type thing. It already looks like a bloater, but one of the affected I think detaches off it, and so you kill the Rat King again. Then when that died, the infected that was detached off of it, you have to kill that one separately. So that was fun, I enjoyed that boss fight. This game in one chapter is kind of like semi-open world, like Uncharted 4 when you're in the Jeep and have to basically explore at your own leisure, in which I enjoyed. When you play as Abby, you have a boss fight with Ellie, and this fight was also difficult as you pretty much have to stealth your way behind her to get a surprise attack. My favourite part of this boss fight was failing, so you can see Abby die over and over again. When the trailers came out, a lot of people were skeptical because they thought the game was too gory. What I mean by that, they show a group of people basically cutting someone open who is alive and shoving their hands in their stomach and ripping their intestines out. Overall, for me, this game isn't that gory apart from that section when you're trying to run away from the cult. and in certain cutscenes or in-game cutscenes you see certain NPCs having that same treatment. But if you're squeamish to that kind of stuff, you can just move your camera away and not look at it. This game has a ton of accessibility in the settings. Basically, if you're blind you can play the game, if you're deaf you can play the game, if you're colorblind you can play the game, if you're amputated you can play the game, if you're beheaded you can still play the game, if you're in a fetus you can play the game, and if you're a sperm you can still play the game. So many endless options. Basically they're just trying to be inclusive, in which I didn't mind. It's better for everyone that has a disability that can experience their first game. It's just a shame that they have to experience this game rather than the first one. There are a few Easter eggs that are scattered around the game in which you have to find for yourself. The ones that I found were a couple of old PlayStation 3, the fat models, and a few Uncharted games, and a couple of PlayStation Vitas with Hotline Miami playing in the background. And there's another weird reference as well. When Ellie and Dino inspect the house, in the basement they found like a weed farm kind of thing, and they look through a VHS tape and find a porno. Well, it's an Easter egg to Crash Bandicoot called Smash Bandicoot. So that's my gameplay. Very quick and simple. It's not bad, but there's nothing new or innovative to make it unique from the first one. Now the story. The thing about The Last of Us is that this game, the foundation is the story. That's what makes the first game so popular. And if the story suffers, then unfortunately the entire game crumbles on its feet. And that's what happened in this game. Before this game came out, Naughty Dog had pretty much been under fire from not treating their staff correctly, from doing crunch time, forcing their own political agendas, and just basically doing a false advertisement. Now in the trailers, you get to see Ellie and Joel, and the trailer kind of tricks you into thinking that you're gonna play as Joel, but the truth is you don't, not at all. Only the beginning part of it, that's it. He does appear a lot in the story, but that's only via flashbacks, and you don't get to play as him, but he's just as your companion, he's at your side. And my favourite part of the story is when you're with Joel, when he plays Ellie in the flashbacks, and the relationship between the two of them is something that I will miss. So yeah, when this game came out, Naughty Dog pretty much tarnished their own brand. And not only that, when the spoilers came out, Naughty Dog tried to silence 3 critics for speaking their own opinion about the spoilers of the game, the story, without even showing the spoilers. Well, without showing the visual spoilers, but they just voiced their own opinion about what happened. And of course, if you disagree with it, you get labels such thing as homophobe, transphobe, sexist, misogynistic, gymnastic, gynecologist. Is just ridiculous. First thing I want to say, well, actually I'm going to talk about the political stuff first and then the story. One thing I want to say is that no one cares that Ellie is gay. That story was already established in The Last of Us and no one complained about it. No one even mentioned it as being bad or anything. So whenever people voice their concern about the story, it's not because of Ellie and what her sexual orientation is, because it really doesn't matter. And keep in mind, Bill from The Last of Us was also gay, and you had to be aware and pick up certain things. Example being the magazine and why we were stuck together. You can make a good story and not force your agendas upon me. There's cases like that with Eastern stories rather than Western stories because they don't know how to write their own bloody stories. Basically what I'm trying to say is that they're trying to be inclusive. If they make part 3, they better have a furry representation or a person that thinks he or she is an animal, so that when, by if any chance, Naughty Dog want to do a sex scene with this person and this person want to do it with the animal, it can't technically be called bestiality since this person identifies itself as an animal. So it's a nice workaround. Hell, why not have incestuous relationships? They can be included and represented. And that is what Naughty Dog has pretty much become, trying to represent people and said that it can be done better when it just really complicates things. So, with that out of the way, Ellie being a lesbian, I don't care really, no one does. So her side of the story was okay, to put it mildly. And the second part is Abby, and oh my god, this character is the worst. Now, the character model of Abby is really, well, I don't know how to put it, it's just strange for me. I mean, her body is freaking huge. She looks like a JoJo character. It's freaking absurd. At first when I saw her, I thought she was transgender. Like I said, I don't care if she is or isn't, but no, she's just a woman. And I hope Naughty Dog don't change the narrative of saying that Abby is transgender, even though the story and the characters around her don't address that. So yeah, they made her big because of female empowerment. But that's just stupid. It doesn't empower females. It just defeats the whole purpose, because that's not what majority of women look like. That's what bodybuilder women look like after they're taking testosterone and all that stuff. And testosterone is for men, not for women. So they're already genetically modifying their body to look like someone from the opposite sex. And when I think about it, it's a shame, really. I mean, they don't have faith in pushing someone that looks like Lara Croft or Jill Valentine or some other women in video games, and these people that I mentioned are not even over sexualized. I'm talking about the reboot Tomb Raider, by the way, in case you want to bring up PlayStation 1 Tomb Raider. But even then it didn't matter, because the majority of player base were females. And I hope that Sony and Naughty Dog don't push the agenda of her being the poster child of women alongside Lara Croft and Jill from Resident Evil and all the other women as being together, because I really don't want that to happen, honestly. And for all the idiots that are thinking that having a female role is terrible, or that some people have a problem with it, here's a few games that I've owned that have female lead. Now let's go through at least some of them. Let's see. Forbidden Siren, I never played it. Soul Calibur 2, played some of it. It does have some female characters, but others might say they're over-sexualized. You have Street Fighter EX3, King of Fighters, but these are just fighting games, so I won't count those. You have Final Fantasy X that had good female characters. You have Haunting Ground, which is a good game, but unfortunately you're just a helpless old girl, so I guess that's not empowering enough. Of course, Lara Croft are good games, except the Angel of Darkness, that's terrible. Marvel Nemesis Rise of Imperfects. The gameplay I find enjoying, even though many people hate it. It does have female characters, my favourite being Storm, because she's just the best. Of course Mortal Kombat, but again over-sexualized characters. There you go, you have Silent Hill 3, another great. So there's 2, Silent Hill and Tomb Raider. And I'm not counting fighting games, which are plenty, and other games that have female side characters, which again are plenty. And you have Dino Crisis, which is one of the best dinosaur games of all time. And of course Resident Evil, if you can see it there. And at the bottom you have the Tomb Raider series. Like I said, there are tons of games that have female lead and female support characters. No one's saying it's bad, it's just when you have terrible story or trying to preach a message is when it gets bad. And of course Nintendo IPs that's been around for centuries, including Samus from Metroid and Princess Peach. When I look at Abby, sometimes I even forget that I'm playing as Abby. I thought I was playing as a man. And that's just me being serious and legit. Because when you play the game, you don't see her face, you just see the back of her head and her big broad shoulders walking around. And literally, if one of my friends comes into the room and sees this, he's probably thinking I'm playing as some regular old guy. Ugh, I honestly don't know why they did this, but they implemented a sex scene with Abby as well. And it was just, well, let me say that I wish I never saw it in first place. It's not even good, and it didn't even need it to happen, honestly. There is a sex scene with Ellie, but that is just overabundance of her kissing Dino, and to be honest there's just too much of that as well. I mean, it's almost like the voice actor was getting too intense with their microphones. You don't even get to see that kind of relationship with straight characters. And like I said, Neil Druckmann just shows something, but they don't push that narrative, nothing. They just show it to prove a statement, and then that's it, it's gone out of the story. And I know I'm gonna say this over and over again, but it's true. They just show something to prove something, and then they don't go with it. I'll touch more of it when I talk about the story, or if I remember it when I talk about the story. Basically, it just happened, and the character she has sex with, it doesn't get addressed, it's just a one and done type thing just to show a statement. And when it happened, and when Abby gets undressed, ugh, her chest is literally as flat as mine. And when she removes her vest, her chest literally just flops around like a boob, even though that I just said they are flat. But when you think about it, they're more muscular like men's chest. Either way, I just found it disturbing, and it didn't need to happen. And that's why I thought she was transgender, because she doesn't look like a woman, she looks like a man. They defeminized her. So basically, what I got out of that is that Naughty Dog pretty much don't like how women look. They don't like how natural women look, and instead wants to highlight this weird hybrid of a woman that looks like a man type of thing, and push that agenda forward as being some sort of female empowerment when it really isn't. I mean, I've explained that to my friend and even he doesn't agree with it. Ridiculous, honestly. Abby isn't the only character that Naughty Dog defeminized. They also defeminized Dino and probably even Ellie, because when you see their character models and base them on their real life actor counterparts, well, let's just say the real life counterparts look more realistic because it's real life, and in game they're just exaggerated. Like every woman in The Last of Us has a flat chest. There are women who have big chests, but they're just big ugly brutes in a cult. So yeah, thanks for the message, Neil Druckmann. I appreciate what you're trying to say, dickhead. So now let's talk about the story. When you play the game, let's say an hour in, Joel dies. I know I should have said spoilers, but I honestly don't care. This game doesn't respect my intelligence, and why should I respect the game in return? Or why should I even respect Naughty Dog or Neil Druckmann? And I should have said that Neil Druckmann did team up with Anita Sarkeesian, another stupid feminist person that really just contradicts herself in ideologies. So I'm guessing that both of them made Abby who she is just to make a statement, which it failed. And I just want to say this again, no one cares about the sexual orientation or what your gender or what your colour is. No one cares about that stuff. It's just when you get all preachy or undertone preachy is when people have a problem. So Joel dies, and he dies uncharacteristically. If you remember the first game from The Last of Us, when Ellie and Joel trying to get to Seattle to get a cure and find a cure for Ellie, or to use Ellie to get a cure, Joel gets ambushed by this group of people. Now if I remember the scene correctly, is when a guy fakes he's been injured and Joel immediately picks up and said he isn't even hurt and runs over him, and a bus crashes their car and they're trying to get out, and Joel pretty much kills the guy with a shard of glass that trying to manhandle Ellie. And when you play through that, Joel even says to Ellie that he's been on both sides, so he should know not to be trusting. He even taught his own ideals to Ellie as well. Basically, always be on guard, be ready for anything, and don't pretty much blurt your name out. And that's what Joel does after Tommy gives an indication to do so. And the reason why it's stupid is because, well, Joel is pretty much well known because he killed all the Fireflies and disbanded them all when he's trying to save Ellie. And after witnessing the story, honestly, the journey between Joel and Ellie in the first game now is so pointless because again, nothing gets resolved. Ellie finds out the truth of what Joel did. She basically has a current moment and then doesn't want to speak to him. I know I'm getting all over the place with the story, but the story is all over the place with its pacing. Now back to Joel about 10 times. Joel dies. So yeah, Joel blurted out his name to a group of people he doesn't even know. He doesn't even know the building even is secure. He rescues Abby from a bunch of infected and enters to their stronghold or their hideout. And then Tommy says they're settling in Jackson, Wyoming, which is their settlement. So he pretty much gives them the location of where they lived and give their names. And as soon as Joel gives his name to Abby and her crew, that's it, immediately he gets killed. Well, not killed, he gets tortured and then killed by a freaking golf club of all things. Joel's death was rushed and it was poorly executed. And since Joel already revealed his name to a group of strangers, why not tell the whole world that Ellie has a cure to the virus? You know, make the whole point of the first game pointless. I mean, this game already made the first game pointless. Now, the story tries to explain it why Joel had to die, but the thing is, for me, my gripe is he died way too early in the game. If you remember the first one, I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to implement the first game, that when Joel lost his daughter Sarah in the early parts of the game, and they're trying to have this shock and horror of The Last of Us Part 2 as Joel dies early in the game as well. But it completely misses the mark. We don't know nothing of Abby when she even kills Joel. We know nothing of her. And yet, when Joel dies, immediately or some missions later, we get to play as Abby. Like, what the hell? No one wants to even play as her. And it's stupid. And then later on, when you progress to the story, you kind of know why she did it. And the thing is, I understand why she did it, but the writing is fucking dreadful. Here's what should have happened. The first half of The Last of Us Part 2, you play as Abby, starting from a flashback as a kid. Well, basically, start the game as a recap to The Last of Us, the first one, then start off as Abby as a kid. Then we get to see her motivation and her resolves and all that other bullshit writing. And then Joel dies at the half point of the game, and then you get to play as Ellie and get your revenge. And even then, that doesn't even happen. So Joel died for nothing. And there was a story that was circulating across the internet about The Last of Us Part 2 that caught my eye. And that story is that the Korean streamer cut both of The Last of Us Part 2 discs in half because the story was dreadful and the handling of Joel and the ending was dreadful. And that's the thing, a lot of people are attached to Joel. The thing about this Korean streamer that I learned is that he lost his father a year ago and he kind of looks up to Joel as a father figure, kind of like how Ellie did. Well, past tense, I'll get into that later as well. Another thing I want to talk about is Abby's friends. Who the hell even are these people? We don't know their goals or their motivation. The only thing we know is that they want Joel dead. Why? We know why Abby wants Joel dead. It's because Joel killed her father. And get this, her father was one of the surgeons he killed at the ending in The Last of Us. Yeah, a random NPC in the first game that wasn't established as much gets this huge spotlight and character development all of a sudden. Abby has a friend called Manny who oddly looks similar to Neil Druckmann. The reason why I say it looks similar because when Joel dies, this character spits on Joel, and for me, it represents that he doesn't really care for Joel or doesn't like the character, even though in the first game he built him up to be so likable. Why the sudden change of heart? Is it because you have devils whispering in your ear, like Anita Sarkeesian, to change a story, to appeal to certain groups who are air quotes marginalized? Again, the thing about Joel is that he's not even a good person if he's speaking about morality, because he's been on both sides. good and bad, to trying to survive in this post-apocalyptic world. And in the story of The Last of Us, we get to see his drive to trying to save Ellie because she reminds him of his daughter. And in this game that is set in post-apocalyptic setting, why all of a sudden are these groups, these people identify themselves as such in this kind of environment where it doesn't really matter? I mean, it's basically survival of the fittest, and these type of groups were even established in the first one. They just popped up out of nowhere. So that's the story of Abby right there. It's pointless. Now let's go to Ellie part of the story. She wants revenge after seeing Joel gets killed, but she doesn't exactly exact her revenge. She doesn't do anything. This game sets up certain elements or certain plots that doesn't even get resolved or doesn't even be satisfying enough for me. So since Joel is dead, Ellie needs a companion, and her companion is Dino, her girlfriend, in which I didn't mind really. She's quite funny. When this game was first announced, I thought we were going to play as Tommy rather than Joel, because everyone was speculating that Joel was going to die, and the best way to replace him, or someone that needs to replace him, was Tommy. You know, have a female lead Ellie and have a male lead Tommy. But I guess now we had a female lead Ellie and a female lead Abby, that if you know nothing of the game you might mistake it as a man. Cool. Then further on to the story, Ellie kills pretty much all of Abby's friends without hesitation, and then when it comes time to Abby's death and her demise, she freaking lets her go. She spares her, in which it pissed me off beyond belief. I was literally about to break my game. I know some people might say, oh, she broke the cycle of hatred, because if she kills Abby, then someone's gonna kill Ellie, and then whoever kills Ellie, kill her, gonna go back and forth and all that stuff. It's the cycle of hatred thing, but it fails here, because like I said, it isn't even satisfying. When Ellie strangles Abby on the beach after getting her 2 fingers bitten off, she has a flashback of Joel and then immediately lets her go. And when she is let go, we don't even get to see Abby and what she's up to. She just gone, poof, vanished to thin air. And where's Tommy? He's the reason why Ellie went out on a revenge mission after she settled down with Dina. And when Ellie declined his request at first, Tommy just ups and leaves, trying to, well, get revenge for himself. But at the final end of the mission, we don't get to see him. We don't even know what happened to him. Is he dead? Did he go back to Jackson? Because that wasn't even said that he was going to go back. He just ups and leaves and says, fine, I do it myself. And Ellie thinks about it because she still has nightmares about Joel's death, and realized that killing Abby might help her. And that was a driving motivation early on in the game, basically the foundation of the plot, and she doesn't follow through with it. So the journey of The Last of Us Part 2 didn't need to happen in the first place. And when I realized this, I just wish that the doctors would have got a cure out of Ellie, even if it meant killing her, because at least killing Ellie to get a cure, that would have meant something. But in this game, nothing means anything, and it negates what happened in the previous game as well. People are now saying that Neil Druckmann even changed the ending because Abby was supposed to die, and he changed it so that she lives. For what purpose? The story is that bad that even Kojima took a shot at Naughty Dog. Basically, someone posted on Facebook that they sold Death Stranding and dubbed it boring as shit, and they sold it for The Last of Us Part 2, and then Kojima just pretty much, well, it's Kojima. He said that the choice of game reflects the quality of his player, maybe suits him more. And then when he says that, he took a screenshot of the user score, and that to me is pretty badass, to be honest. I want to talk about Abby's friends more, especially the ones that she counters with. She meets 2 outcasts of the cults called Scars, or in their term, the Seraphites. And again, I didn't care for these characters. Lev is annoying because he's just asked questions 24/7 and is confused. His sister, I barely remember anything other than her arm gets broken for shock and horror. And I said before, like Abby's friends, we don't know anything about them, so they're trying to communicate us that Abby is a good person with her friends, and that's why when Ellie kills them, she doesn't forgive her and she tries to kill Ellie, but Lev intervenes. In this game, there's so many plot armor, like to the point where I just shut my brain off because there's too many coincidences. Like, where did the genius writing go? Where was the love and affection between Joel and Ellie? That was destroyed. In this game or in this world, everything is hopeless because now there isn't going to be a cure, and I doubt Ellie wants to kill herself for the good of mankind. So what else can I do when they make The Last of Us Part 3? Play as Abby again? I'd rather not. If they make a prequel, then I'm still not interested, even if they bring Joel back, because the damage has already been done. The stage has been set, everything's in motion, and everything crumbled to dust. All for what? And to be honest, that's mainly down to terrible writing. When this game came out, or when it was near the release date, every journalist gave it a 10 out of 10. For what? For being progressive. There's better story out there for being progressive. I honestly don't know why they give it a 10 out of 10. The story definitely isn't a 10. The gameplay is not a 10. And the graphics for me is like an 8. If you look at Japan, they give it a 7 out of 10. Of course, over there they're not ruled by feelings. And that's pretty much the story I have a gripe with. I want to give an analogy from another anime, since this game is trying to deal with the cycle of hatred. Now the anime I'm talking about, you probably know, is Naruto. And Naruto does deal with the cycle of hatred, but it does it a lot better than The Last of Us Part 2, tremendously better. Now, the cycle of hatred starts when Naruto's teacher, his master, dies, and I said that his death is pretty much on the same level as Joel. What I mean by that is Jiraiya's arms got ripped off, his throat got crushed, he's been impaled 6 times, and he's probably crushed under a tremendous amount of water because, you know, his body drowned in the sea. And all of this was done by his former student, who he thought was a child of prophecy, but was a child of destruction. I'm not going to go too in depth with it, but I'm just going to talk about the starting point, which was Jiraiya, and the ending point. Now, Naruto does confront this person, like Ellie did with Abby, and unfortunately, in The Last of Us Part 2, it doesn't get resolved, and it isn't satisfying. In Naruto, for me personally, we did get a payoff, and it was satisfying. Now, does he kill the person who killed his master, and in this point, his sensei? No, he doesn't. He basically hears his side of the story and then gives his own answer, which revolved around one of Jiraiya's books. And the payoff we got was that the villain redeemed himself by coming to our side and killing himself to bring back all the people he killed in the Leaf Village, because that is crucial. He brought back a character who is loved by everyone, Kakashi, because he died in this arc. So that was a payoff enough. But not only that, everyone of the village accepted Naruto when they ostracized him because he was dubbed the Demon Fox Kid. So that was a payoff in Naruto, and it pretty much handled the cycle of hatred perfectly. It gave us the perspective of the hero and the villain. I mean, all you have to do is just look up on YouTube the cycle of hatred when Pain gives it a speech, and that speech was powerful. Powerful enough that the hero didn't even have an answer to it. Honestly, I can go on for hours and hours about Naruto, but that's the analogy I wanted to give. And unfortunately, everyone knew Pain in this game. There was one character I liked, Jesse, and he, to me, he died abruptly. I wasn't expecting his death to be literally a blink of an eye. And then when I was thinking, it made perfectly sense why he had to die. Basically, he got Dino pregnant, and if he was alive, then he would have been a third wheel to the relationship. Even though he doesn't care about Dino, he still has to be there for his own kid. So if he's out of the picture, then Ellie and Dino can raise a child together. Maybe that's another agenda they want to push. I personally didn't give a shit, because at this point in the story, I didn't care. And is it me, or does this game has too many Asian models? I'm not saying that's a bad thing, I just found it funny, because every infected, stalker, clicker, basically anything that has a face, when I turn the camera around, they always have Asian features. Even NPCs or Abby's friends are Asian and stuff like that. I thought I was in America, not in China, and given a certain situation, it's kind of weird. And another thing in the story about Ellie as well I forgot, is that, and this is how terrible the writing is that they're really abrupt with how they're trying to preach their message. Basically, an old person didn't like it that Ellie and Dina kissed in public, where there was children around and all that type of stuff, and basically calls Ellie a dyke. Jules tries to intervene because at this point of the story they weren't really on good terms speaking, because she knows the truth, and then she pretty much belittles Zoe for trying to protect her honor, which is stupid, and then you can see on her face she's like, oh, I regret it. This is further on to the story where you realize the context of what happens beginning of the game. And at the beginning of the game of her story, this man pretty much, well, he was forced to give an apology, and he gives her a steak sandwich, in which Ellie dubs it biggest sandwich. Like, what? What's that supposed to mean? If Ellie was some kind of different person, a different race, different ideology, different religion or something, would it even get the same treatment? Why does it feel like that? I don't think that would even happen. And by some odd reason in this universe, let's just hope that Ellie doesn't listen to Ice Cube verse when he was with NWA in the song Gangsta Gangsta. The graphics is pretty much the same as The Last of Us. I wasn't too mind blown away. I mean, Final Fantasy VII Remake was, it was beautiful. Horizon Zero Dawn is beautiful. This game, the only good thing about this game is the facial animations, as you get to see their smile, their emotions when they're sad. And the thing about the facial animation is that there's too much of it. Whenever there's a sad moment, or whenever there's something that they regret, why does it look like that? They're trying to force themselves to cry, like they blink 1,000 times, pucker their lips, like, oh, I need to think of something dark, and then that's it, I'm gonna shed a tear. It's stupid. Actually, you know what, the graphics isn't all that bad. It's just that, well, this game gave me a lot of emotions, and at this point I just didn't care about the scenery and all that stuff. It has great lighting. So that's the story. Joel dies and Abby gets away with it. And one thing I want to know is, why haven't the voice actor said anything? Especially for Joel says he died, and Troy Baker, the voice actor, he pretty much gave all of his emotion, all of his effort into building that specific character up. Why hasn't he said anything? Or is he just quiet because he don't want to get blacklisted? Same goes to Ellie voice actor, because I remember watching behind the scenes of The Last of Us when they did the mocap and all that stuff. Neil Druckmann even said that she changed Ellie's character as well, because the voice actor for Ellie didn't feel like, or if certain situation happened, Ellie would react this way and not that way. And if that's the case, why didn't she want to exact revenge? Well, I guess everyone has to keep their mouth shut during these sensitive times where everybody is offended by even sneezing. Like I said, the gameplay for The Last of Us Part 2 really isn't the problem, it's the story. Because like I said, Joel died, it doesn't get resolved. Ellie wants to exact her revenge. She even says, I'm gonna kill you, but doesn't do it. Pregnancy is a plot point of the story. Dino is pregnant and Jesse gets abruptly killed. And Ellie kills one of Abby's friends who is pregnant, but somehow has hesitation of killing Abby. Abby is supposed to be some sort of female representation when she has a man's body, and Ellie's just Ellie. She doesn't accomplish much to the story, to be honest. Her entire journey is just wasted. God, I probably want to say more, or I'm probably forgetting something, as this is my second time recording it, and I hope I haven't forgotten anything, because these are my criticism, and they're valid criticism at that. I just talk about the story and the gameplay, how the gameplay is good and how the story is trash, and the character is trash. I don't care about Joel anymore, I don't care about Ellie anymore, and I don't care about this game anymore, and I don't even care about Naughty Dog as well. So Neil Druckmann, he can fuck off with his political bullshit, in which he probably doesn't even know what he's even spewing. And one thing I hear is about why these companies always try to cater to certain people. Have you even seen Neil Druckmann himself go out in rallies trying to protest something that he's trying to say that he's okay with? That's the thing, no one does these things. They just speak about who certain groups are okay, I stand with them, but when it comes to action they do fuck all. They just sit there quietly and just hand out money. So yeah, pretty much if Naughty Dog comes out with another game, I'm probably not going to play it. They're trying to force the political agenda, identity politics, all that bullshit. It didn't work. It didn't work for me. Case in point, look at Hollywood and how they're trying to force their agendas, like making movies with female lead, like Ghostbuster, and it just flops, not because the main actor is female, it's because the script is terrible. And I can say that's mainly due to because whenever there's a female role, she always has to belittle the opposite sex. Basically she has to belittle a man for some dumb odd reason. I mean, like I said, look at Ghostbuster, it flopped. And look at the new Terminator, it flopped as well. You can do good films with female roles. Look at Alien and Terminator 2, two of the best films in the genres of all time, and two of my favorite movies of all time. So there really isn't an issue with female leads, whether it's in movies or in games. It's just the writing and the political stuff that people have a problem with, and whenever they're trying to cater to a certain group, unfortunately they don't see it. So yeah, whenever they're trying to remake the movie and do a little gender switch role, or change their skin color and their sexual orientation to make a female lead look badass, he always falls flat on his ass. Cyberpunk, on the other hand, I feel like is going to do a much better job at this, because in that game you can choose to be male, female, gay, lesbian, have your own sexual orientation, even be transgender. I have no problem with that, because you are creating your own character. So if you feel like you want to project yourself in this universe of Cyberpunk, then you should do so. And that's the thing. So why do I feel like CD Projekt Red are going to do a fantastic job with the game and the story and not force anything upon me, which is really strange. So yeah, fuck Naughty Dog, fuck Neil Druckmann, fuck the political identities, ideologies, anything that they're trying to force upon players. Fuck all of that crap, I really don't care. And fuck whoever was involved with this project. So now Naughty Dog is in my list of the companies I hate alongside Konami. So that's great, I got two companies that I now hate. And don't send any hate towards voice actors, doing that won't change anything. And it's pretty much a dickhead move. And I don't condone any of that shit anyways. So yeah, like I said, hopefully that's all my criticism and addressed point. So, see you later. Oh, look at that. I don't have a watch at me, but I guess it's time for my lunch. Time to have my bigger sandwiches. Bye bye.
Joel, fucking get up! Please stop! Please don't do it! Joel, please get up! No! No!